Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Brett Taylor coming to you from New School Innovation Consulting, and I wanted to take some time to just share out some thoughts based on the craziness of this COVID-19 situation we've been involved with, where schools have closed, universities have closed, and many teachers and professors now find themselves teaching online, something they've maybe never done in the past. Firstly, I want to say how amazing it's been, how quickly everyone has worked hard to make this happen. And it's almost like years of progress have happened within a few weeks. Having said that, I know there's a lot of frustration and some insecurity by a lot of teachers and professors who feel like this is not my wheelhouse, this is not how I'm used to teaching, and I'm struggling. And another thing that's kind of happened is I feel like there's been a lot of people who've talked about this shift to distance learning, and some people have said, I feel like I'm just in emergency teaching mode. I'm not really focused on a quality pedagogy, and I want to know how I can do that. And so today I just wanted to share a few quick tips. A little on my background. I have done a lot of research in the area of online schools and virtual schools. I come from a K-12 background where I was a teacher and administrator, and now I currently, over the past 3 years, have been working on teaching in a graduate school program as a professor online. So we're a hybrid program, but most of our teaching actually happens online. And I know for me it was a big shift to move online. Now, a lot of the work you've been doing lately, you've probably had meetings and phone calls and Zoom meetings where it's been really focused on how do we use this online platform, whether it's a learning management system, a video collaboration system. And those things are important and you need to learn them, but they're not really about the teaching, right? They're just about, this is how I'm going to, the platform I'm going to connect to students with. There's more going on that's really important. So here's my three quick tips on how to improve your online teaching. By the way, you're gonna find that these are tips that work for all teaching. It's just good teaching offline and in person, face-to-face is also good teaching online. But I do think these are going to help you if you really focus on these. Number one, you need to empathize with your students and understand their needs. So here's the thing, when you're in a classroom with students, you can kind of see what they need, but when they're learning online, they're working in an entirely different environment, and they're also working with new scheduling issues, family issues, so many things going on. And so it's really important to try to empathize with their needs. Some of those are going to be content needs, but some of them are going to be just trying to figure out, how do I learn in this new environment? And so people always ask, well, how do I empathize? And sometimes you can do surveys, but surveys are going to give you really kind of low-level answers that are binary, yeses and nos, or something specific that you're filling in a blank. I really like to do empathy interviews. So when you're working with students, if you're in space with students online, ask if any want to stay behind and just kind of ask them a little about their learning experience, what they're going through, and try to understand where they need some support. You can be going crazy developing these lesson plans and doing all this work to improve your instruction, and they're struggling with something that has nothing to do with that, and they're not going to connect to your work until you can understand and then meet those needs. So number one, empathize with your students. Find time to ask how it's going, learn about their learning experience, and then plan accordingly. Number two, you really need to find opportunities for peer-to-peer learning experiences. So we know that teaching, if it's just teacher to student, it's never great. We're not here to pour our knowledge into their heads. That is not really what learning is about. And students can learn as much from each other as they can from you, sometimes more. The problem now is we've been pushed into online environments where they don't have people to work with in the same space as them right next to each other. So really push for peer-to-peer learning opportunities. And there's a number of ways to do this. Some of you are probably using some video conferencing platforms. I know that I teach in a space where I can actually push students into small groups, or rooms they're called in the platform I use, so that they can actually work on a project in small groups and then come back together. So that's great if you can do that. If you're not in synchronous environments like that, or you don't have that kind of software, students can also work asynchronously. I mean, right now everybody is home, And so you can actually have students work on a project, whether they're getting together on Google Hangouts and working together, whether you're using Google Docs in an asynchronous way where you're just having students work on a project on their own. There's a number of ways to do this. I could do a whole video on this. By the way, if you have any suggestions, if you want more information on any of the 3 tips I give, or if you want more information on how to improve online teaching, put that down in the chat, because I'm gonna be making a lot of new videos and I'm happy to give you the information you need. But just find ways for peer-to-peer learning, and it can be in a lot. It's going to be, there's actually more opportunities to do that in a virtual or distance environment than there are in class. You just have to be creative. And sometimes students will do it on their own. They kind of have platforms they already work together on. So sometimes it's just about assigning them some work to do and then finding out how they're doing it. And you can almost run a prototype and then see what they do and then kind of have them tell you what worked and what didn't. But peer-to-peer learning is key here. And if we lose out on that, if we miss out on that, it's not real education, right? It's just like videos of professors and teachers talking. They need to be able to learn from each other. And the third thing I think is really important, again, this is a great teaching strategy, but it's especially important as students are entering into this time of uncertainty and they're navigating and dealing with so many different things, is that you need to offer focused feedback. So I know as a teacher, you can sometimes have the temptation to tell them 1,000 things they need to work on and do better. I really think when you're working on this new distance learning environment, as they're navigating and changing to this new way of thinking and learning and school in general, you really need to give them focused feedback. 1 to 3 things that they need to do better, and then find ways to give them really quick feedback when they do it. Well, hey, great job, I asked you to do this and you did it. So instead of looking for 100 things, just go back to those 1 to 3 things. And now again, online, you've got a lot of different ways to do that. You can have them turn in something and then you just kind of give them some quick feedback. You don't have to grade the entire assignment or paper. That makes things a little easier for you. You're also trying to navigate this new world. So focus feedback, keep it simple, especially as we're in this emergency situation. We're trying to just get through the school year, but I think it's gonna make you a better teacher. It's gonna make them better students, because if we can only work on so many things at once anyway. So if you give me 1 to 3 things, I can work hard on those, get better, and then get more feedback from you. Again, 3 things: empathize with your students, understand their needs. Number 2, find opportunities for peer-to-peer learning. And then number 3, give focused feedback. Again, I think you guys are awesome. You're doing great work. You're out there trying your best to improve the situation for our students in very difficult circumstances. And I also know there's a chance that there's going to be some migration to more distance learning in the future, just based on where we are as a society. So these are some tips that can maybe help you out. If you need some additional advice, support, like I said, this is a new channel where we're going to start making a lot of videos about distance learning. Put it in the chat, reach out, let us know. We want to help you. Great job out there. Keep it going. We're going to get through this pandemic, and we're going to work together to help students. Thank you so much.